Hello guys, this is me Stark. Let's go for the part 2 of tournament gameplay and preparation. If you haven't watched it, go back to the last video from this channel called Strategies and Draft for a Tournament. How do you prepare yourself for tournaments? So basically we did have exactly the civilizations that we did want for this map, both Persians and Italians, and we did had a clear plan. Go for a regular start, place a dock, and then the Persian play scouts, the Italian play archers, and of course we do have a lot of economical bonuses that are going to be great for us in our gameplay. For example, we did have here the Persians that starts with extra resources, and both town centers and docks work faster, which is good to develop your eco during since the arcade because you're always using both town centers and docks, and on hybrid maps Persian has a great economy. Of course they still lack some units, but if you are going to focus on horses they are perfect for that. You are also going to gain a +2 attack versus archers, so whenever you're fighting knights versus archers, this is going to be great. With that said, I only had one concern. Brew had a very back lake here, so he already walled, so for this reason there was a very small chance that BL would try to get his lake. But I was very concerned that Gabby would try to go for my lake and try to take the water from me. So I did play very defensively here on the early stages, using multiple villagers to wall myself to make sure that I wouldn't need to focus with raidings, and I started to patrol with a scout, patrol with a spearman, and also send a fishing ship to the last fish here available so that I would actually be able to see if Gabi was coming to my lake. My idea here is that I would keep spamming fishing ships to develop my eco more than my opponents, using the Persian dock that works faster and my extra economy. I would be fine in delaying my farms as long as I was producing fish. And thanks to all these villagers, scouts patrolling and spearmen patrolling, I ended up finding out that Gabi was trying to get my dock. With the use of the scouts and the spearmen, I did manage to stop her villager from getting my water. Once that was safe, I just kept doing more and more fish, and of course I was fully walled, so time to farm and keep making scouts. The strategy was done so far. I just need to keep a spearman there to make sure that she wouldn't be doing this. Meanwhile, Brew was also playing quite safe, going for multiple fishing ships and adding archers. Then, guys, of course, we needed some extra strategy once the beginning was done, and our strategy was pretty simple. Let's try to double on the horse player. Why on the horse player? If you try to go 2v1 versus the archer player, you will have to try and take down one of his buildings in order to go inside, and this guy can easily just try to wall behind while defending with archers from behind the walls. The cavalry player will have no archers inside of his wall, so if you start pressuring him and even killing his buildings, this can be quite bad for him, and that was exactly our plan, to try and make the life from the cavalry guy very miserable. Meanwhile, I was trying to benefit and get ahead myself here by spamming multiple fishing ships and even investing into a secondary dock. This would later give myself a good economical advantage that I could translate into having more upgrades and more army than my opponents. Right here we are just executing the plan. We have scouts here killing the buildings, archers hitting from behind the wall, and the enemy is having a lot of trouble to defend because, as you can see, she has no archers to defend herself since she's playing with the cavalry. With that said, Brew was almost fully walled, so there was no threat for him. I was fully walled, so there was no threat for me, so we could actually focus here on the aggression. With my extra economy, as you can see, I had many resources, and of course I did translate that into military advantage to play. We eventually got surrounded here by archers and scout, and we did decide to just patrol and get the hill. It would be way too risky and perhaps even suicidal to go inside of Gabby's base, so we just stayed here and walked around it. Once that was done, we just kept messing up the army, and we said, maybe we were not sure if we were going faster or not to the castle age, but we knew for sure that at some point Brew had more archers available here to fight than BL, and Gabi was already having all the upgrades. In order to reach out for her upgrades, I also started doing my own extra upgrades like the forging, and we did talk about, let's try and get back the hill. Having the hill is a huge strategical leverage, and that's how we are actually going to play. Let's get the hill and wait for a good fight, and this is basically how we play it. going for the hill, getting the strategical advantage, and of course, meanwhile, guys, I was doing what I know how to do, which is booming. How are you booming, Stark? You are just on the feudal agent going for the castle. No, I'm not. I'm using all my multiple fishing ships here. As you can see, I made like 15 fishing ships, and I was already starting to invest here into fish traps. In order to, instead of going for like 20 farms, like Gabi was probably going, I ended up actually going for less farms and investing a lot more on water and also a lot more on fish traps. Instead, I was placing way more villagers on wood and gold. Our opponents went faster to the castle age, so we did decide just to retreat because there is no absolutely point in taking a fight against a better upgraded army. So we just avoided the enemy crossbowmen and kept going back and kept massing army and getting upgrades. The priorities, of course, were pretty clear. If you are playing with the Italians, if you are playing with an archer civilization, your priorities are the crossbowman upgrade and the Bodkin arrow. With spare resources, you can even go for other stuff like thumb ring. Your priority as a cavalry civ is to go for the light cavalry upgrade if you do have a lot, the husbandry upgrade to have extra speed, and of course, if you have to fight against archers, always go for the chain bard in armor, and that's exactly what we did here on this game. So getting fully upgraded archers and fully upgraded cavalry would allow us to have some strategical leverage. As you can see, both teams are playing very close from each other. We have similar number of horses, similar number of archers. Everyone now is on the castle age. So basically, now the idea was to mass more and more knights and more archers. What we did study it here about this map is that the gold will run out very fast. I'm almost out of my main gold. If you take a look on Brew, he's already on the last gold pile of his main gold. And our opponents should actually be on the same spot as we are. Of course, main golds last longer, Malian resources also can take a bit more, but they're still going to struggle in the same way as we do. So our plan was quite simple. Let's go and try to focus everything into getting the center. Let's not invest into like multiple town centers on our bases. Let's just try to get the center somehow. And in order to do that, we actually invested fully into army. By the way, I was also being greedy and investing into gillnets for my fish. And of course, just following up the enemy army, making sure that we would be able to get good fights. Still pressuring on the same spots where we had heal at our favor or messing up army. I was almost out of gold, so I did decide to drop a TC in front of my secondary gold just to make sure that I would have the gold, not with the intention of booming. And of course, I ended up jumping here on BL's and Gabi army, getting not exactly a good fight, but still good enough to buy time for my TC to go on and for Brew to reach out so that we could eventually kill them. If you have a small number of archers, never walk alone. Always try to walk here with a big mass, a big enough mass, and have the support of your allies. Right there, we knew that we actually needed to clean out the army. At some point, we felt confident regarding our army. I was very confident that I was doing like a good job on the booming, and honestly, I was right about that. No one else was booming as much as I did. Gabi had like 3 fish traps, BL had 0, while meanwhile I had like almost 2 docks full of fish traps, so I knew that eventually I would have more economy to use. I was trying to get fights, I was constantly fighting and asking for Brew to fight together. I get my TC denied here because they actually got into my way. Brew was making a TC, I ended up luring them out of the TC. And of course, this would just keep up until we could mass enough army to fight as a whole, to fight as a team. If they try to attack me, I would just reinforce my walls and I would just try to keep massing army, and same for Bro. As you can see, one single TC, now a second just to sack your gold, one single TC, a second one to sack your gold, and the focus here was on the army. 3 stables, 4 ranges. So that's basically the idea. Try and snowball in the first fight as soon as we can. Meanwhile, we were just trying to annoy the guys, and of course, Brew was also telling me, hey Stark, I think that we need a castle to secure the center. So our strategy here was to avoid any unnecessary fight, considering that we already had villagers on the center, and drop a castle in the center of the map to deny them to access the gold. So Bro started to drop the castle. Both Gabi and BL knew that and wanted to get a fight. Gabi had a very significant amount of army, but we also had almost fully upgraded knights and archers, and we ended up getting like a good fight. It was actually a close fight, but in the end, if the numbers went down, we would still be controlling the center, and that's exactly how it felt. Upon realizing that we were winning this fight, despite every cavalry dying, I could just replace them with like multiple stables, and Brew already had control over the center, which means that as long as we kept this position, we did not even needed to push them. We didn't need to attack. If in this kind of gold maps, and honestly I agree to players that stated they are pretty boring, all that we had to do was to camp here and wait for them to screw up, and that's exactly what happened here. We kept camping. We kept adding more and more army. I was not in a hurry to get to Imperial Age. I mean, if one of us had to go to Imperial Age, it would make more sense to be Bro, because he would then have access to good upgrades for the archers and trebuchets to add up on his castle. And then we just decided, hey, let's add outposts to see how they are moving. And immediately we started adding outposts. So we do agreements as a team and we commit to them. By adding outposts, we did realize that BL was trying to push us here using towers. Brew and I were both dropping outposts, and Gabi just decided to attack me here on my back. So I did had to go back, but I was truly confident that Brew would hold the center, because he also had a castle and also enough stone for a second one. As you can see, guys, with the investment on the second castle, all this area would not be safe for them to take. It doesn't matter if BL has a castle on the top of the hill, he wouldn't be able to collect gold, and if you are not able to collect gold, you are actually going to have to play using your market or trying to go for a lesser unit like a skirmisher, and that actually means that on these scenarios. Meanwhile, I just defended myself, even added some camels since the Persians do have access to this very specific unit, which is pretty good, and we ended up having a very clean fight. I think that from this point there were very few situations where we would actually not feel comfortable. For the later stages of the game, if Bro wanted, he could actually even switch into the Genoese crossbowmen to kill the cavalry, and I had like the best cavalry of the game regarding killing archers, which is the knight that will later scale to Savar. So we knew that it was basically just holding the map, just denying them to get stuff. I even invested into my own castle in the center, and now with 3 castles controlling the center, we actually decided that okay, we can even stop making army for a bit to click up, or we can just keep making army and pressuring them. So we were in a very comfortable position. Our gold was safe. Our food and wood economy was kind of walled here somehow, and we did manage to defend it ourselves, so it was just a matter of camping and waiting for the opponent to make a mistake. So we had a plan, we had a draft, everything worked accordingly. We had no bad fights, no specific situations. They eventually tried to raid Bro here, that was actually going towards the Imperial Age. I did send my own horses to defend him, and that's basically it. Covering these fast units from the enemy, using your own cavalry to kill enemy cavalry, and even if the enemy tries to push us back, all we need to do is to buy time until we can get to our best army composition. Gabi did some excellent job in the raidings here. She raided both me and Brew, I have to admit. She did good there. Alright, so they were now on Imperial Age. BL was actually pushing us using the trebuchets. What did we do here? We actually decided to go for the building upgrades here. So I was going for masonry, same for Bro, and we were both repairing his castle to buy time. We did not expect to kill him anyhow. We just wanted to keep buying time and trading. The more we traded now, army versus army, the better it would be for us, because basically these guys had no access to gold anymore to keep replacing their armies, while we had all the gold necessary to make that. Eventually forcing them to call the Double G.